Thank you. Will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portions of the hearings designated for public comment in person or by use of the web and phone access provided with the Zoom web address. And of course, we can also be viewed on the Lawrence City Council Facebook page and the Lawrence City Council YouTube page. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy.
Present.
Present.
Present. Can you hear me?
You were muted a second ago.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Rodriguez. Absent. Councilor De La Cruz.
Present.
Present.
Councilor Selena Reyes. Councilor Infante.
Present.
President Plant.
Present. I was informed by the Vice President, Councilor Estela Reyes, that she will not be present here this evening. There is a personal emergency that she is dealing with, and she is asked to be excused from tonight's meeting and asked that I make us all aware of that tonight. At this point, I will ask you all to rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Clerk, will you please call Councilor Selena Reyes and see if she's present? Thank you, councilors. At this point, we have two. There are two sets of minutes. We're going to go them one by one. I need a motion to adopt the minutes from 12/21/21. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Piano. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion. It'd be preferable if we had. Thank you very much, Councilor Del Rosario. It'd be preferable if we had someone who may have been at the meeting. Is there someone else who might be able to make the second on that motion? Seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy.
Here.
Councilor Maria De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Piano.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Rodriguez is absent. Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes. Yes. Councilor Infante.
Abstain.
President Plant.
Yes. Yes. Motion carries. On the minutes for the meeting of January 4th, 2022, there's a minor correction. At one point during the minutes, there was a reference to the former president as being the president, and I would just note that just is a minor change that needs to be corrected to represent that the change in presidency at that time. So with that minor amendment, just a modification, is there a motion by members of the council, any member of the council for this one, for passing or adopting the minutes? Motion made by Councilor De La Cruz.
Maria de la Cruz.
Motion made by Councilor De La Cruz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Piano. Discussion. Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez is absent. Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Mariano.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Yes, the motion carries. At this point, we have public participation. Only have one person on tonight's sheet, and we might have some other folks who are. Okay. So we have one speaker that's on the list, and I know there may be a few others that are maybe joining us remotely. Mr. Molly, you're up. You have 2.5 minutes, as normal rules. The bell will ring at 2 minutes, so please don't address any members of specifically of the City Council, but rather the City Council as a whole. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Humayun Mali, 53 Chester Street. Good evening. In this important year, we demand of you and Mayor De Pena contract for Lawrence police officers now. Lawrence Police Department, with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Chief Roy Bass, has done excellent job to protect our citizens. We must support Lawrence Police and their great union. We demand of you to declare September 13 each year the Day of the Police Appreciation. Million thanks to our DPW workers and their leadership. Lawrence is a beautiful city because of the hard-working DPW and their leadership. Lawrence Public School, with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Superintendent Cynthia Perez, moving forward. Lawrence teachers, in the dark days of the pandemic, stood with our children, sick or well, in person or remote, continue to standing with our children and education of our children. In this year of the historical collective bargaining, the Lawrence Teachers Union must know 83,000 citizens are behind them. We demand the best contract for Lawrence teachers. It is shameful that Lawrence Alliance for Education hiring new people off the street and pay them more than our paraprofessional of Lawrence Public School. We demand the best wages, competitive wages for our paraprofessional. Lawrence One City undergo the best example of respect for union right, for the police, firefighters, DPW, and our teachers. Stand up with our teachers and support our teachers and their union. In this year of the contract, we don't want our best teachers leave our city in seek of better wages or salaries. The best compensation for Lawrence Public School paraprofessional. Lawrence always is strong. Lawrence always unite. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go digitally. The next person I saw with a hand up is School Committee Member Patricia Mariano.
Good evening, Council President LaPlante and members of the City Council. My name is Pat Mariano. I reside at 28 Ridgewood Circle. I am a member of the Lawrence School Committee as well as the Lawrence Alliance for Education. I come before you this evening to ask that you all vote yes to place document 24/22, the Leahy School Loan Order, on tonight's agenda. In doing this, we will ensure that we have ample time for the item to be sent to committee, returned back to the full council so a public hearing could be scheduled, but most importantly, to have sufficient time to have all of your questions answered about the new school and its funding. MSBA has given us to February 24th to secure funding. We need your help to move this loan order tonight and work together with the school department to make sure that the new Leahy School will become a reality. Thank you in advance for your consideration, and I look forward to 7 yes votes to place that item on the agenda. I thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, School Committee Woman Pat Mariano. We do appreciate also your service to our children and to our youth in our city. The next speaker with the hand up is Jessica Andors. Welcome, Ms. Andors.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, council members. I'm Jessica Andors. I live at 3 Jackson Terrace in Lawrence. I'm also a member of the Lawrence Alliance for Education. And basically, I want to echo everything that Pat just said. I just want to encourage and implore you to vote to place the item on the agenda so that it can be properly discussed and, you know, follow the process within the time frame that we have. And I know it's difficult to have these really important and big discussions in, you know, sometimes shorter than we would like time frames, but I think the sooner we can get it on the agenda and down to committee and back, as Pat said, the more time there will be to discuss it properly and figure out what the best path forward is. And of course, you know, I fully support this project, and I think it's extremely important for the children of the city. My son went to the Leahy School for all of his elementary years, and it definitely is a building that's in severe need of improvement and rehab, and the new school would be really wonderful for the children of the North Common neighborhood, which is one of the poorest in the city. So thank you for considering this, and as Pat said, we really hope that you vote to move it onto the agenda.
Thank you very much, Ms. Andors. One more round of anybody in the virtual setting who wishes to speak on public participation. Not seeing any hands up. Public participation is now closed. The names and addresses will be sent to the city clerk to put in their personal file for today's meeting. Excuse me. Next up is our public hearings. The first public hearing this evening is document number 13921. Clerk, please read the public hearing notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence January 18, 2022 at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. And by electronic means with public viewing, listening, participation, and input. In input provided remotely in compliance with public gathering limitations in effect. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence, to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to section 10.36.230 of the Municipal Code, 10-minute parking, to be inserted in the proper numerical order. Salem Street, south side, from a point 20 feet easterly of the intersection of South Union Street to a point 40 feet easterly to the intersection of South Union Street. To the extent that there exists any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
The public hearing is now open. Is there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors, what is your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Council Del Rosario. Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano. Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Rodriguez. Councilor Rodriguez. Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion carries. The next document is document number 24321. Clerk, please read the public hearing notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 18th, 2022, at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass., and by electronic means with public viewing, listening, participation, and input provided remotely in compliance with public gathering limitations in effect. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by deleting the following new paragraph to Section 10.36.340 of the Municipal Code, Handicapped Parking, to be inserted in the proper numerical order. East Haverhill Street, east side, from a point 75 feet northerly of the intersection of Elm Street to a point 95 feet southerly of the intersection of Elm Street. To the extent that there exists any ordinance to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
The public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter? Is there somebody virtually? Not seeing anyone wishing to speak on this matter. The public hearing is now closed. Council, what is your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Clerk?
Mr. President, if I might, and I believe that this was in your district councilor, the constituent was intending to participate remotely. She must have had difficulties. She did request that the 30 days be waived.
Do we table this matter? Can we table the matter?
The request from the constituent is that the motion be passed and waived at 30 days. That's the request from the constituent. It's up to you how you want to craft the motion.
I visited the location but I couldn't communicate with the constituent. I don't want to make a decision that is not favoring the person at this moment.
We're going to need a motion on the floor at this point. Counselor, if you want someone else, I see Mr. Payano's hand is up. Mr. Payano, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Council President, I believe that the resident for this motion is in today and is on the Zoom. I would like for the opportunity to be given to Elaine Fletcher, to Ms. Fletcher, to be able to speak.
Yes. Thank you very much. So Councilor Payano has asked Ms. Elaine Fletcher to take the floor. Ma'am, you're welcome to have the floor. Please unmute yourself, and Councilor Payano wishes you to say a few words.
I believe I'm unmuted, and I would wish that you would waive the 30-day period, please. We've been trying to get this done for a long time, and I would like to get this handicap sign removed as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You live at that residence, right, Ms. Fletcher? What's your address, please, ma'am?
41 East Haverhill Street, Lawrence, Massachusetts.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm still looking for a motion.
Motion to approve?
We need a motion. Motion made by Councilor Levy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you for the opportunity. Do we have anybody using the parking spot at any time in the last 2 weeks?
Council President?
Councilor Rodriguez has the floor. I'm not sure who's going to answer that question. Did you have an answer to the question?
Yeah, the problem with that parking is that because it's a handicap parking, anybody use the parking without any respect at all. Then.
So anybody, if I may, Council President, so people that are parking right now are not necessarily handicapped people.
Anybody.
The parking was put in place for my mother, and she has deceased, and there's no reason to have it there anymore. She needed it, but now she has passed away.
Okay. So just so I'm clear, Ms. Fletcher, what you're suggesting or what you're testifying this evening is that there is a handicap parking spot there. The person who needed it before it has passed, and there's no need for handicap parking anymore. So now the request here is to remove the handicap parking. Part of the request is also, if you can, if the council so wish, part of your request is to remove the 30 days and make it happen immediately because there's no need for a handicap parking spot there. Am I understanding what this issue is about, Ms. Fletcher?
Absolutely correct. Thank you.
So I believe there is a motion still, and then now we're still in discussion. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this matter? Hearing none, I think the motion is cleared. It is waiving the 30 days. Is that part of the motion, clerk? Who made the original? Councilor Rodriguez? Councilor Levy made the original motion? Councilor Levy?
Yes.
Did your motion include a waiving of the 30 days?
No.
It did not. You want to maintain the 30 days and not waive it?
We can waive it. That's not a problem, Council President.
Okay, very good. So the motion is to waive the 30 days, and it has been properly seconded. Any further discussion on the matter? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President, who seconded?
Councilor Infante. Yep.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes? Councilor Del Rosario?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Piano?
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz?
Yes.
Councilor Levy?
Yes.
President LaPlante?
Yes. Did you get Councilor Selena Reyes on there? Councilor Selena Reyes, can you try one more time? I know your mic was off. Can you please give us your vote on this matter?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes. The next document is document number 25821. Clerk, please read the public hearing notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 18th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass., and by electronic means with public viewing, listening, participation, and input provided remotely in compliance with public gathering limitations in effect. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning a petition presented by the Massachusetts Electric Company, DBA National Grid of North Andover, Mass. 01845, requesting the City of Lawrence, Mass. By and through its City Council members for permission to construct a line of underground electric conduits, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures as may be necessary for the transmission of electricity, said underground conduits to be located substantially under and across the public way or ways hereinafter named. Shoal Court, National Grid to install 2 JO poles, 1178-1 and 1178-2 on Shoal Court, beginning at a point approximately 10 feet in west of the center line of the intersection of Shoal Court and Mason Street, and continuing approximately 70 feet in a west direction for new construction project at 1-7 Shoal Court. First pole, 1178-1, will be at the corner of Mason Street and Shoal Court, approximately 10 feet from the center line of Mason Street. The second pole, 1178-2, will be approximately 70 feet from the corner of Mason Street and Shoal Court and approximately 10 feet from the center line of Shoal Court in a northerly direction. A copy of the related plan, the petition, and all documents filed on behalf of the petitioner are available for examination, viewing, and copying at the office of the City Clerk, City Hall, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass., any business day during the hours of 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and is also available at the City Council public hearing website. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter? I see none here, but I do see Mr. Boucher. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Dave Boucher, National Grid, 1101 Turnpike Street in North Andover, Mass. What we have in this petition is on Shoal Court. There's a new home, residential, 1-7 Shoal Court that's being built and there are no utilities going down the street. It's never had utilities going down there. And what we're proposing is the two new poles to be placed in the public way, and it would enable all the utilities, electric, telephone, cable, TV, all to make their way to the new home. Coming off of Mason Street, the closest point, which is pole 1178 on Mason Street. And if the city sees fit and goes forward with passing this, it would enable us to go forward and get all the overhead utilities to that new resident / customer. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak on this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. Council, what is your pleasure?
Council President, can I make a comment before?
We're going to take a motion, and then I'll look for you for a comment. Councilor Rodriguez has made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes. Boucher, we just wanted to remind you that when they installing the pole, they leaving a hole that is big, that can cause accident. It's been happening, and they forgot to make sure that they tied up the soil when they install the pole. Otherwise, we might gonna have accidents. It's already happening in the community.
I believe it's really not very easy to understand or hear. The volume on your microphone wasn't very good, but I think what you're asking for is whether or not they would remove the soil that gets excavated for the poles. Is that what the question was?
I don't mean to remove the soil. I mean to cover the whole hole completely, because they has been open, and I've been noticing that my foot can go through it. Then we can avoid accident if when they close in the gap around the soil, they can, put a cement or whatever kind of material that they can put on.
I'm sorry, I can't understand what the question is. It is about soil. That's all I can tell.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
At the bottom, when they installing the lipo on the floor, they leave it open around it, and that can cause accident because it's already happening. When they install the pole all the way down to the ground, they don't close the surrounded of the pole.
Mr. Boucher, let me try. Maybe my microphone is better. So I think what the council is trying to say is that when the pole's removed, at some point there is a hole, there's a divot, and that her concern is that that's very unsafe, and matters need to be taken. That will make sure that place is safe. Were you able to hear that?
Okay, if that's the case, yeah. If not in this case, anyways, where we are removing soil and placing poles. But I believe you're asking for when we remove poles, whether or not they fill it in and make it safe. Yes, they do. The telephone company removes all the poles. We have jointly owned poles, and we place the poles everywhere. And the telephone company they're professionals, and they fill the holes up. They put cement on top of sidewalks if they need to, and they try to make it better than it was previous to removing the poles. Is that what you were trying to ask? Or?
Thank you. We continue working with you.
Thank you, Councilor, and thank you, Mr. Boucher. Any of the members of the... If there's no other comments, Councilor Rodriguez.
I just wanna make sure that when they do the work of placing these new utility poles, that they do it properly in terms of the traffic as well. That is that Mason Street is very congested in the morning, and it's a gateway to get out of the city and get in the afternoon. So essentially, we want to make sure that you manage the traffic properly, and avoid Mason Street early in the morning between 7 to 9 a.m. so traffic can move along during that time with no issues.
They'll do is they'll have the proper police protection there if needed. The foreman will get that and have that on site. Being that Shoal Court is kind of out of the way, I would expect to do everything they can to keep the trucks away from the Mason Street side of that intersection when they work that. But I can assure you that we get police and we have the proper signage out there for our trucks anytime we're placing poles. And if we are considerate of the traffic flow, whether it be busy or not busy, so that it's safe for everyone and that it's not disruptive or slowing people down.
Another thing that I would like to see next time, not at this time, but when you come back with new utility pole posting, the new ones, I want to see how you guys gonna manage the posts that are actually gonna hold up the utility poles. Sometimes they block people's driveways, and we have a situation in a very close and a proximity on this area that basically the driveway of those people cannot be used as they wish because of the cable that give the stability to the pole is basically in the middle. So next time when you have this type of request in front of us, can you actually have some type of paragraph that ensure that during the design you guys take care of not going to block anybody's driveway perhaps when you place the cable to hold up and to make it stable those poles?
Your request, I understand what you're saying, but when National Grid comes to the petitions, we'd like to speak about why we're doing what we're doing, what they are, and we're very willing to discuss any kind of procedures that we do. As far as like making a statement that you're asking for, what you can do is talk to our community liaison. I believe Council LaPlante may know who that is. Not sure if it's Tammy or if it's someone, but in the meantime, rather than bring it to the council meeting, I think that maybe you can do something previous to it, or even after this one, just to make sure that, you find out the information that you want and maybe get some kind of a statement from our liaison about how our procedures are for, any kind of traffic situation or any kind of the work in the street. Just to make things move along a little bit faster for the meetings, I know. But it's certainly a concern that I think that you'll have better results with talking to our liaison. And Council LaPlante, I know you have my email. Maybe you can either shoot me an email if you don't know who that liaison is.
So what I can do, Mr. Rodriguez, is I do for everybody. Sometime last year, I forget when, or maybe 2 years ago, it's been a while now, I did get some information from National Grid, some contact individuals. And so expect an email from me in the next day or two with some information. And so then all of us can follow up on anything in our district or in the city that is of concern. And I did find that they were very, when I did contact them once or twice on an issue in my district, that they were responsive. They were able to get back to me in a timely manner. So I will forward that to everybody. Hope that's helpful. Thank you, Mr. Boucher. Any other comments on this matter? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. The motion passes. The next document is under communications from Mayor, City Official, and City Attorney is 2321, establishing a 3-member ad hoc committee to study review translation services during city council meetings. Counselor, I know that we had a three-member ad hoc committee during the last couple of months of last year. I know they began the work, and it became clear that holidays, et cetera, more time is needed. And so I think that it's having this issue dealt with and seeing if we can make some improvements is worthy of our time. So I am creating an ad hoc committee. I think it's important to always have some deadlines, so it kind of motivates us. I know it motivates me when I see a deadline. I know things got to get done by a certain time. So the deadline for this ad hoc committee is the end of this fiscal year, which is June 30th. The people who are on the committee before, if they wish to remain on the committee, that is their choice. I certainly would encourage them to do so since they started the process. But feel free to reach out with me afterwards if your interest or situation requires you that you may not be able to fulfill that. Please let me know as soon as possible. I will then need to find another member to take your spot. So, members of the previous ad hoc, you know who you are. Let me know the next day or so. Text me, email me, call me. Just let me know if you're still interested in doing that, and then we will give you whatever guidance and resources you needed to get to a successful conclusion. So that's it for that. I bet we can probably just table that matter because we're going to wait for a report. So I'm looking for a motion to table document 2322.
So move.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Council Del Rosario.
Can I have a question for Council President?
We have
Withdraw
just
my
made.
motion.
Motion's been withdrawn. Yes.
Thank you. When you're saying that you wanted to create a group or a committee to study, to translate, what do you mean specifically?
So this is what that committee is designed to do. It's designed to give the specifics behind that. When we have individuals that come here who are looking to communicate with us through all of us, and the language skill set is not allowing that to take place, we need to find, or I'm looking to see if the ad hoc committee can find a way to bridge that so that all of us can benefit from comments made by the public specifically.
You mean that we can have a translator person standing there to translate when people come with questions?
It's going to be with the ad hoc. There are several different ways to approach this, and whoever's on that ad hoc committee is going to review it, and then we're going to wait to see what kind of information flows from that. The specifics I can't tell you because the committee has not, this ad hoc committee has not completed its work, but as soon as they do their work, those kinds of questions are good questions that should be asked of the ad hoc committee when they complete their review and give a recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
LeBlanc.
All right, so I'm now looking for a motion to table.
So move.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Payano.
Reyes is absent. Council Piano. Reyes is absent.
Yes.
Council Piano. Reyes is absent.
Yes.
I did say yes, and that was crazy.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Thank you, councilors. Next item is item number 2022, FY22 adjustment budget request put on by Budget and Finance and Chief Administrative and Finance Officer Mark Ainello. That will be going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Now, next is the Budget and Finance Committee reports. We do have Mr. Budget Committee Chairman, newly minted, Chairman Payano with us, document number 322. Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, Council President. The Budget Committee met and on item 322, request to expend grant funds up to $27,685. under SORB address verification program. We voted unanimously to send that to the full council with a favorable recommendation. And I'd like to present that as a form of a motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Councilor Maria de la Cruz. Discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Reyes is absent. Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion carries. Next document is committee report for document number 422. Mr. Chairman Payano.
Document 422, appropriations transfers from free cash. This item was voted to send to the full council was voted unanimously to send to the full council with favorable recommendation, and I present that in the form of a motion.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Council Del Rosario. Discussion.
Discussion.
Council Maria de la Cruz.
Is Ms. Rano here? Yes. Hi, Ms. Rano. Ms. Rano, do we have litigations that it goes to that high amount of money every year or sometimes?
Yes, we do. So what I explained to the Budget and Finance Committee is that most of that money is going to our outside counsel firm of Valerio, Dominello, and Hillman, and they handle not only our day-to-day union issues, but also our bigger collective bargaining agreement negotiations. So typically what we do in every year is we level fund our litigation account, and that's the account from which we pay all outside counsel. And that firm, just because of the sheer amount of work that they do for the city, easily, I think we pay anywhere from $350,000 to $400,000 a year to that firm. With the money that we were allocated this year, we had enough money to pay our outside counsel bills, I believe, through December. And the money that we are requesting is the money that we believe will take us through the end of the fiscal year. Like I said, they handle the day-to-day outside counsel, the day-to-day labor stuff, but I also know that we have 2 upcoming huge contracts that they are taking over for us. As you heard in public participation, we have the upcoming contracts for the police, both the patrolmen and the superior officers. They will be the ones handling those negotiations, and that's typically where most of the funding goes to, is the big contract negotiations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments by members of the council? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes. Counselor Selena Reyes. Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes. Yes.
Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. The motion passes. The next document is document number 622. Chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Payano.
Document 622, order to expend grant funds from the Massachusetts Municipal Public Safety Staffing Grant up to $995,000. The Budget Committee unanimously sent this to the full council with a favorable recommendation, and I make that in the form of a motion.
The motion's been properly seconded, and it has been a motion is probably made and properly seconded by Councilor Anna Levy. Discussion. Councilor Del Rosario.
Is Ms. Bernard here?
Ms. Bernard is with us. She is virtual. Ms. Counselor Bernardi, I mean, said Burnell, excuse me. Counselor Burnell, go ahead, Mr. Del Rosario.
Ms. Bernard, there was a request by Councilor Rodriguez, and if I'm not mistaken, he wanted to see who was going to receive the money and how were they going to spend it. If you can provide with that info, if you have it.
Council President, I believe the question that Councilor De Rosario is making is for the next item.
That's correct. My bad.
Very good. So thank you very much. Great question. We'll wait for the next item. Any other comments by members of the council or questions? Hearing none, I'll call the clerk. Please call the roll.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion carries. The next document is document number 722. Mr. Payano, Chairman of the Budget Committee.
Thank you, Council President. Item 722, order to expend grant funds from the Shannon Grant up to $250,000. The Budget Committee met. We sent this to the full council as a committee report. We have Ms. Bernal here, Director Bernal, and hopefully to talk to us. And the questions that were asked were to provide information around how organizations are able to, how these organizations were chosen, and also how organizations in the future are able to apply for, to be part of this partnership.
So I believe there's a motion. I believe it was a favorable recommendation. I'm looking for a second, and then I'm looking for Ms. Burnell to answer that question. Is there a second? Second by Councilor De La Cruz. Councilor Payano's got a question for Councilor Burnell. Councilor Burnell?
I just want to make sure that Council Payano is done. I don't know.
Thank you, Director Burnell. So, Council President, so that was as a committee report. So there wasn't a motion, but I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second the motion?
So we have my apologies. Let's deal with the first motion as a committee report first. Let's pass that, and then I'll look for that motion to approve. So is there just a committee report? Has a motion been made and properly seconded? Any discussion on the committee report?
Yes, discussion.
Discussion on the committee report. Councilor Rodriguez.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. The intention of me making a motion to send it over to the full council as a committee report, it was because we were looking for questions regarding what Councilor Payano was stating. So during the committee report process, we have the opportunity to discuss this item since at the committee level we were not able to get into an agreement and send it over like that.
Okay, so there's a motion still on the floor. It's been just a committee report. It's been properly seconded. Any further discussion on the committee report? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Council.
Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Payano. Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Committee report passes. Now I'm looking for a motion, and I think Mr. Payano wishes to make a motion. Mr. Payano.
Motion to approve, and also if we can give opportunity for Director Burnell to speak on this item.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Councilor Payano's, now Councilor Burnell, you have the floor to answer Councilor Payano's question.
Thank you, Council President. I hope you can hear me okay. So at the committee report level, we talked about how we have 7 partners right now on the sharing grant. Each partner received $22,000. The community Trabajando, Change the Play, and LMCC are some of the smaller recipients of that award. And then the YWCA, the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, and the CSU Center are some of the larger or more well-known recipients of that award, and they all receive the same amount of funding, which is the $22,000. One of the questions that was posed was how are we selecting the grant recipients? And I did bring that question back to Chief Bass, who actually agreed with the concern. And he, as we mentioned, this grant is already awarded. We have received proposals back in August. We wrote our grant back in September with our partners. We filed it with the state in November. It was awarded in December, and now it's been awarded with those partners named in the grant. But Chief asked, he shared the concern, and he said that we will do a full review on the partnership selection and change the way we've been doing it. He felt it was overdue, and he is committed to making sure that this year we review new partners, or at least potentially new partners, if there are partners that want to be involved, which we know there will be.
Councilor Brunel, I'm going to stop you right there. Mr. I'm able to get the full response. Were you able to hear what the councilor had to say? Councilor Brunel had to say?
Council President, I was able to hear, but I think, it's important. I know there were other councilors that had, that were part of the discussion. So I just want to make sure that the other councilors understood and don't have any other further questions.
So I'm going to look to the councilors to my right who had the questions. Councilor Rodriguez, and then I know Councilor Del Rosario had similar questions. Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Council President. So essentially, the questions I asked during the committee, it was on related to the RFP process. If the RFP was available somehow, so we can read it, and also we are talking about a grant for at-risk kids, not kids that are in trouble, but kids that might are probably at the path of either decide whether they're going to do a good thing or bad thing. So at-risk kids are whatever kids in the street. And we also were talking about other organizations to basically gather information from this process to help improve the process in the future. And therefore, probably looking into those smallest organizations that are doing a terrific job with our kids, at-risk kids, and they might be able to help as well. So no information was sent out to us. I was expecting something on writing, and I didn't get explanation because of the difficulties between the Zoom meeting and the in-person meeting. So I don't know if somebody can clarify a little more. I'm going to highly appreciate it. If the RFP documentation is available, also I would like to see it. And if any of those organizations that are going to be the recipient of this grant are here to explain to us as to how they're going to do, what type of work they're going to do with those at-risk kids, that, to help improve those possibility to keep on increasing for those kids to be at risk. So anything on that, anything on writing or anything like that we can read?
Councilor Brunel.
Sure, Council President, my apologies, Councilor. I actually came in specifically over the long weekend to send you the grant narrative. I know we did have a server issue over the weekend, but I believe I sent that after it was resolved. So I will resend that to you. But there was just a short grant narrative. It has just a few paragraphs from each of the grant partners that explains exactly what they do with their funding. And I apologize that you don't have that, and I will make sure it's resent again. But I did come in specifically this weekend to send that to you. and I thought it had gone through, although I do have a notice, I think we all do, from the IT department that says there were issues with the servers over the weekend, but I thought you had that, so I apologize.
Councilor Infante?
Thank you, Council President. Councilor Rodriguez, there is a short summary in Doc 7-222 that summarizes how the grant will be used. It states, whereas the department intends to use the grant funds to provide at-risk youth with educational and recreational activities, as well as leadership and vocational training with the assistance of a number of community partners. Then it includes the partners, and at the end, it states that the department also intends to use the grant funds for direct paroles, crime analysis, and other initiatives authorized under the grant terms. So that might be a little helpful in how they're going to use the grant money.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other comments or questions regarding this matter? Looking virtual, looking here among us. Seeing none, and the motion on the floor right now is a motion to approve. So, Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Rodriguez.
Abstain.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Abstain.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. What's the roll call on that, Clerk?
6 yes, 2 abstain, and 1 absent.
Thank you. The next document is document number 822. Chairman Payano.
Council President, document 822 was voted unanimously to send to the full council with favorable recommendation and send it in the form of a motion.
Second the motion.
Motion by Mr. Payano, seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion carries. The next document is document number 922. Chairman Payano.
Thank you, Council President. Document 922, order to expend grant funds, climate change grant, 2,500. That was unanimously sent to the full council with favorable recommendation, and I present that in the form of a motion.
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion carries. I believe the last item under Budget and Finance, and may have been misnamed on the budget agenda, is number 1222, the appropriation of transfer of free cash. Chairman of the Budget Committee, Mr. Payano.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Item 1222, appropriations transfer from free cash. That was unanimously sent to the full council as a group with a favorable recommendation.
Second the motion.
There's a motion made by Mr. Payano, seconded by Councilor De La Cruz, and I believe, Councilor Payano, you had one more thing to add to that motion?
That is all going, is all sent as a group.
Very good. I think the clerk would like to see if we could waive the 30 days. And Mr. Piano said yes, that part of the motion is to waive the 30 days. It's been properly seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Discussion. Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Yes. Counselor Selena Reyes. Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion carries. The next documents are coming out of the Ordinance and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. If it's easier, Councilor Levy, I just may just say it and then you can make it in the form of a motion. That might be the easier way to go, but if you wanted to start it, that's fine, but I could.
It is okay with me. I think so that could be much better.
Okay, so let me start it off and then you can say so moved and then we'll have that'll be the motion. So document number 8821, all-way stop sign at the intersection of Bellevue Street and Hilltop Ave was put on by Councilor Piano. The committee sent up to full council with a favorable recommendation to order a public hearing.
So moved.
Councilor Levy makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. The public hearing has been ordered. Document number 4021, Handicapped Parking at 132 Margin Street. That was sent up to the full council with a favorable recommendation to order a public hearing. Councilor Levy? So moved. Councilor makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor. Seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. Discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes. Counselor Selena Reyes. Counselor Del
She say
Rosario.
yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Cruz.
Yes.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Motion to order public hearing has been ordered. Document number 219, Handicapped Parking. This is a second signer request. This was sent up to the full council with a favorable recommendation to order a public hearing. Councilor Levy? So moved. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes. Discussion. Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Motion carries to order a public hearing. The next document is document number 23621, 1 hour handicap parking at 275 Broadway. This was sent up to the full council to order a public hearing.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilor Levy. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Discussion. Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes. Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Council Rodriguez. Council Estela Reyes is absent. Council Payano.
Yes.
Council De La Cruz.
Yes.
Council Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion to order public hearing has been ordered. The next document is document number 24121, 30-minute parking from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 527 Broadway of the Malin Boutique. This was sent up to the full council to order a public hearing.
So moved.
Councilor Levy made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion. Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Council Levy.
Yes.
Council De La Cruz.
Yes.
Council Payano.
Yes.
Council Estela Reyes is absent. Council Rodriguez.
Yes.
Council Del Rosario.
Yes.
Council Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Council Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Motion to order a public hearing has been adopted. The next document is document number 24221, 1 hour parking from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And this is at 525 Broadway, Malin Boutique. This was sent up to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Councilor Levy?
Discussion.
Councilor Levy made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion? Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes, I just want to clarify this situation here. Item 24121 and 24221 is the same, basically the same location. One have 30 minutes parking and right next to it, or right behind or in front, because it's the same location, basically the same boutique. It's another 1 hour parking. So we're gonna have two parking spots for the same boutique. One 30 minutes and the other one 1 hour. So can somebody explain to me why two parking and one business on Broadway?
The author of this was our former colleague, Councilor Gonzalez, who is not here. So that would be the place that we would go for the answer of that kind of question. But he did put it on the agenda. It did go before the ordinance committee. It did get reviewed by the ordinance committee and sent up. That's all the information that I can provide at this point.
Can we table that matter?
A motion, so we certainly could make a motion to table. That certainly would be in order. I will just say one thing about making a motion to table a public hearing. If you look at our tabled matters, we are dying from the number of tabled matters that we have public hearings, and then nothing ever happens. So yes, it would be in order. It also would be in order if we could start moving on somebody's
I
tabled matters.
understand, but
Okay.
at the 2 hours, one it says 1 hour, but it says from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. It is a mistake right there.
What I would recommend is this: a motion to table would be in order. I would make a motion to table to a time certain. I would make a motion that we would resume this discussion at the next city council meeting and get an answer and figure out, are we ordering a public hearing or not? Either we're going to kill it or we're going to have a public hearing, some way or the other. That would be my recommendation. So we don't just keep listing this on for years. So do you want to make a motion that we table this until the next city council meeting?
Make a motion to table until we find out, because they asking for 1 hour parking, but it's from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And if we're going to do that, I would probably ask the current city councilor to maybe, if he has an opportunity, to take a look at that, because I'll be looking for his guidance on that. Motion been made to table until the next city council meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Infante. All in favor, clerk, please call the roll.
Council Infante.
Yes.
Council Selena Reyes.
Council President.
Councilor Levy, this is a motion to table until the next meeting.
Before the motion was made, I've been trying to speak up.
At this point, we're in the middle of a roll call vote, which is kind of rare. I understand we've got some technical difficulties here. What I will find in order is if, and this is rare, but we're dealing with technical issues here, is if the author, as a courtesy to the city councilor who is chairing the vice chair of the ordinance committee, would you be willing to withdraw the motion to allow our colleague to speak?
I would draw the motion for Ms. Levin to speak.
Thank you very much for your comedy and for your accommodation. Councilor Levy, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Council Maria de la Cruz, on this. What I've been trying to say is if we can send it to the next meeting, but with the request or explanation before the final approval.
So I think that's the spirit of what the motion is, captures that, I believe. I believe the motion is to do a little bit of research in the next couple of weeks, to bring that research back, and then we'll be more informed on how to vote on this public hearing motion. So I think your spirit is well taken, Councilor Levy. Thank you. Any more?
I will second Ms. Levin's motion.
I'm going to still go with your motion because you crafted such a great motion. A motion to table, and then until the next meeting, which captures what Councilor Levy wants to do. Motion to table, seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Again, clerk, roll call vote, please.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes. Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor
Yes.
Councilor Piano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion to table carries. The next document is document number 25121, Handicapped Parking at 322 Ames Street. This was sent up to the full council with a favorable recommendation to order a public hearing.
Motion to approve?
Motion made by Councilor Levy. Is there a second by Councilor De La Cruz?
Second.
Or seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion. Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Piano.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Motion to order a public hearing has been passed. Document 25521, a four-way stop at the corner of Essex Street and Winter Street, was sent up to the full council with a favorable recommendation to order a public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. Discussion? Discussion, Councilor Rodriguez.
I want to say as of why I request this four-way stop sign. This location, it's a extremely dangerous location. We just have a few months ago a fatality there. Somebody gets struck and passed because of that accident. And this location will it will be very helpful for the whole area to have a four-way stop sign there. If we can prioritize that public hearing for this item, will be highly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments on this matter? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Piano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Anna Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Motion to order a public hearing has been adopted. The next document is document number 26121, a disclosure by municipal employee Frank Martin that was sent up to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Motion has been made by Councilor Levy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion? Real quick discussion on this. I want to thank Mr. Martin, who's I believe works in fire dispatch and also plows our roads, and he does things the right way every time. I want to thank him for once again being persistent. This thing's been hanging around for a little while, and we appreciate his patience. And finally, hopefully, we'll pass it this evening, and he can get back to plowing the roads when we need it. And hopefully, we won't need him very much this year. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote. Roll call, please, clerk.
Council Levy.
Yes.
Council De La Cruz.
Yes.
Council Piano.
Yes.
Council Rodriguez.
Yes.
Council Del Rosario.
Yes.
Council Selena Reyes. Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Council Infante.
Yes.
President.
Yes. Motion carries. The next document is document number 27321, applications for sales at fixed locations. It's been sent up to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Motion made by Councilor Anna Lovey. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez. Yes. Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Piano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. The motion carries. Council, the next document before I tee this up, ultimately, this is going to be tabled here. I'm going to read this, and I'm sure Councilor Vice Chair will second the motion. But after she seconds the motion, I'll be looking for a motion to table, because this is one of 3 different matters this evening that needs to, by our charter, be sent down to the Personnel Committee. So this is document 28121, a request for ordinance creating a position of confidential secretary in the Health and Human Services Department. And this was sent up to the full council as a favorable recommendation.
As a favor, I think so that was with no favor recommendation.
I'll look again. Right? It says here by unanimous vote in favor of. So on the paperwork that I have here, Vice Chair, it does say by unanimous vote, 4-0 vote in favor of. Is that your recollection of the vote?
My
That was the
recollection
one.
of the vote was with no favor recommendation.
Yes, it was the vote because it's transfer from one position to the other with no money included, no salary increase.
So we have the Vice Chair saying one thing, we have, and Councilor Selena Reyes, I believe you were there. Do you have any recollection on, was this committee report correct? I'm gonna have to go with the Vice Chair because she is the ranking person on this. But if you have an opinion, Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes, we send him to the full council, but we don't send him with favor recommendation. We just send him for the full committee, had the opportunity to make questions to the applicant, and we have more resources about.
Yeah, we were requesting more information also to change or to add some kind of story and so many other things. Yeah. That was my favorite recommendation.
So the motion was made by Counselor Selena Reyes. Who made the second? I forgot. Was it Counselor Maria Dela Cruz who made the second on that?
Yes.
Thank you. So we're going to go with the Counselor Vice Chair who, and it's been also verified by Counselor Selena Reyes. This is a committee report, no recommendation, and it doesn't make a difference in many respects. I'll be asking to table it. So I'm only looking to vote right now on the committee report, and then I'll be looking for a motion. Actually, the motion's been made and seconded. I will now look for a motion to table. Is there a motion to table?
Motion to table.
So there's a motion. I'm looking for a motion to table by Counselor Levy. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Counselor Infante. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counsel Levy.
Yes.
Counsel De La Cruz.
Present.
Counsel Piano.
Present.
Counsel Estela Reyes is absent. Counsel Rodriguez. Counsel Del Rosario.
Abstain.
Counsel Selena Reyes.
I vote yes for tabling.
Counsel Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. What's the vote?
It is 4-3-2.
So there needs to be a fifth to have any action on this. Keep in mind, counselors, before anything can happen, this needs to go down to the personnel committee. So, the motion was simply to commit the committee report, but I'll entertain any other motions at this point.
I would like to, on the committee report discussion, I would like to ask a question before.
Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. So, to clarify the matter on my end, this item went down to the ordinance committee. The ordinance committee is discussing an ordinance for this position. Once the ordinance is, or during the discussion of the ordinance that we are right now, this could be sent out to the personnel committee. And my question is, if we're not discussing anything related to personnel, and we are only dealing with the ordinance, what is the point of sending it to personnel if personnel is not going to deal with ordinances? So it's not an appointment yet. So can you clarify, Mr. President, on that?
So, thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. So under our charter section 3.5, subsection D, it's titled Standing Committees. It then lists the responsibilities of the committees. On the Committee of Personnel, subsection 3, a committee on personnel and administration to which shall be referred all personnel measures within the purview of the City Councils, and all measures the effect of which would be to alter the administrative structure of the city government. And for that reason, and in consultation with the City Attorney's Office, before we did a discussion around this, the advice that was provided to the chair from the City Attorney was matters such as this should go before the Ordinance Committee and the Personnel Committee.
So, okay, perfect. So it could be one, and while we're doing one, which is basically the ordinance, it could be sent to personnel. So what is the point of tabling it and not continue with the process of creating the ordinance if both can be done in a separate way?
So as a matter of logistics, the chair, in consultation again with the City Attorney's Office to provide some guidance, this was vetted by the Ordinance Committee. There needs to be a place that we can store this at the full council level while the other committee does its work. And so this is merely a vehicle to allow the other committee to conclude its review of the Personnel Committee, and then that will be provided. Once that committee finishes its work and gets sent up, we can then have a final vote on this matter.
I don't want to keep on going on this, but I mean, if this is not a personal matter, to me, this is not a personal matter yet. We are just discussing an ordinance, as we do with many other ordinances. We're not dealing with any person, anybody that is going to be taking this position. So I'm assuming that, yes, once we have the posting, it could go back to personnel that can review the posting in relation to the ordinance. But the ordinance need to be approved first before they put the posting together. That's my assumption. And if you have any type of documentation that you get from the city attorney, please share it, so we can be on the same page.
So I don't have any written information, but fortunately for us, the city attorney's here, and I'm not sure she was expecting to talk like this, but City Attorney Raquel Romano, would you have, I know this is, I believe we talked, or may have been Mr. Hooten, but I believe it was you and I. Can you just give some light as to this matter and the question of committees, referrals? And in the way that we used to do it, it was always sent to the ordinance committee and review of the charter. The charter, in our course, said that those two committees had to review it. And what Mr. Rodriguez is saying is correct. We used to just do the ordinance, and then when we had a name, we would go down to the personnel. That's how that would go. Can you shed some light from your opinion that you gave me on this matter?
Sure. I did just want to preface this, though, that this position wouldn't be appointed by City Council, so it will never come before our personnel for an appointment of anybody. Any kind of confidential secretary, the mayor is the appointing authority. So this wouldn't come before City Council on that premise. I think how this conversation came up is, I think you had received an opinion from Assistant City Attorney Hooten regarding what matters must be referred to personnel. And in that context, when we were looking at the charter provision on the standing committees, and I don't unfortunately have a copy of the charter in front of me, but I think there is that second provision, the second line, which you did just read, regarding what information or what items must go down to the Personnel Committee. I mean, just looking at this item in general, it is going to change the administrative structure of the Department of Health and Human Services because they do not have a confidential secretary. So you are creating that position. You are creating a new person that is going to report directly to the Director of Health and Human Services. And just reading the charter and specifically how it mandates that any item that changes the administrative structure of any city department must go before personnel. We determined that as the charter says the word shall, means that it's mandated that it has to go to that standing committee, as opposed to some provisions may read may, which in that case would indicate that it's discretionary, that there's a choice. But under 3.5, because the charter states that any item which is changing the administrative structure of any city department shall go down to the Personnel Committee, I told City Council President that reading it, it would mean it should also, apart from ordinance, need to go down to personnel.
I hope that's helpful, and thank you for bringing that up, because it's a little bit of a change, and I readily admit to that. We're trying to, when we read with fresh set of eyes, properly, we're doing it now, but I do appreciate that. Having said that, Mr. Payano.
Thank you, Council President. So, you know what, my thoughts around this is, as I'm looking at what's being presented, I believe it sounds like the Ordinance Committee sent it up to the full council, so the council as a whole could ask questions on it. You know, it sounds like we have the opportunity to ask questions on it, but it sounds like this should stay living in the Ordinance Committee until there are actual ordinances for us to discuss. What I'm looking at is being presented to us at the moment. It's a memo. I mean, the memo has tons of information. It sounds like the Ordinance Committee wanted us to ask other types of information, like perhaps like, you know, wages or something like that. But it's in memo format. It is not in ordinance format. So I don't know if the best place for it to live is with the full council. It sounds like we have the opportunity to ask questions if we want, but if there are no questions, you know, perhaps it might best live back in ordinance until they've moved forward documentation that's actually aligned with, essentially like what ordinance are we changing? Like that type of stuff. Right now, it's just a memo.
Mr. President, Council President.
Yep, I see Councilor Dela Cruz, and then I see Councilor Levy. So, Councilor Dela Cruz and then Councilor Levy.
What I remember about this item was that it's not going to be money involved. It's not increase of salary or change of salary. It's just a change of position, a change of more responsibility. That's it.
Councilor Levy?
Yes, as I can remember is that we asked for more information about skill, knowledge, certifications, and that is one of the reasons that we send it to the full committee without any favor recommendation. So knowing that it has to be standard also, but like Councilor Payano said, we haven't created any ordinance. This is a new position that is being created right now. That I think so that was submitted last year, but never, because of the COVID and maybe some of the things that were happening, we will not be able to send it to the committee just to get the information that it was required for this kind of position.
So I appreciate everybody's comments. So what I'm hearing is a couple things. One, there's a requirement that this goes to personnel. That's unrefutable at this point. That needs to go there. If this thing is going to pass at some time, at some level, it needs to go to the Personnel Committee. That's unrefutable. The second part of it is the Ordinance Committee apparently, or I sent this up, if the Ordinance Committee wanted to continue to discuss it at the committee level, it probably could have stayed there with further discussion. I'm not sure why I guess the committee sent it up for the full council to deal with it. I don't remember or wasn't there. But we do have some time with this going to the time for the attorney's office and the personnel office to work together to draft a draft ordinance. Sending it to the personnel gives those two offices that time to do that. The question now is, do members want to send this back to two committees? Send it to personnel and to ordinance? I don't see, maybe there's advantages by going here. I do know it's going to personnel. And the question is where do we want to live? So what I'm doing right now, people feel strongly about it. Listen, if you want to, if I'm going to make another, people already spoke on a motion to table, so I guess they don't want it to stay here. But I see Mr. Payano, and then I see Councilor Levy, and then somebody needs to make a motion.
Council President, so my question would be, when it goes to personnel, is personnel also reviewing the ordinance changes? Because I think that if you are an ordinance and your task is to review a new ordinance change, yes, you're looking at other implications, but one of the things that you're looking for is how does this fit into your ordinances? How does this fit into the charter? That, you're asking yourself those types of questions. If I'm in personnel, my mind frame is different. So when it gets to personnel, is personnel basically doing both? Like if we're in the committee of personnel, are we also going to be reviewing the ordinance for it? Or are we just going to assume that once personnel moves forward at some point or another, ordinance is going to be presented for this motion, for this item? And I know that there's other items like it that are being presented as ordinance changes, but there are no ordinances attached to it. It could be that the committee might have moved this forward before it should have been moved forward, because it sounds like they still have questions on it. So I don't know. The process sounds confusing, perhaps because it's gotten to the city council a little bit earlier than what it should have gotten.
So thank you, Councilor Payano. So I do appreciate that. So one of the elements that needs to be done that we have not yet talked about on this and the other two, so there's three of them all together, is that because there's an ordinance change, a public hearing is required. When the ordinance committee sent this up, that wasn't, at least what I read, and maybe there was part of it, and if there was, we need to make sure the notes reflected, but it didn't say anything about a public hearing being ordered. So, we can do that. We don't need the ordinance committee to do that. I mean, we have every right as a full council to make a motion over a public hearing. It's a little unusual, but we can certainly do that. So, I don't want to be heavy-handed about this. I just think we need to park this somewhere. We can either leave it here, wait for the ordinance, for the personnel to do what they need to do, and send it up. At some point, we're going to have this discussion. At some point, we're going to order a public hearing, we're going to have a discussion. And so it makes no difference, at least to the chair, where it's parked, as long as the work is done. I do see that Councilor Selena Reyes has her hand up, and she has not spoken yet. Councilor, did you wish to speak?
I want to mention because my understanding was we creating the position and then we sending to the full council. After the full council, we sending to personnel, and the personnel committee is in charge to review any question about salary, certification, qualification. That was my understanding to our committee, to ordinance committee. We review, we making questions, and after that, the committee in charge to review and verify the salary or verify the qualification is through personnel. That was my understanding through the committee.
All right, so if I understand that correctly, the committee did its work, sent it up, and is looking for the personnel to do its work, and then the meeting it'll be back up to this level, and where we can just hash it out and order a public hearing. If I understood what you just said correctly. Am I understanding that correctly? That's just a little off. Councilor Reyes? Okay.
Council President?
Councilor Levy.
Okay. But what you're saying right now, or what Councilor Mariano say is like, I think that is a committee that is reviewing the city charter and the ordinance, no? This is a position that has to be sent there, because if we are creating this new position, and we are doing the change that we are supposed to. So if you send it to the ordinance committee, if you send it back to the ordinance committee, because right now it's not an ordinance, okay? From the ordinance, are we going to send it to the personnel, or we have to send it back again after? Or who has to do all of the changes that we are requesting? It has to be the attorney, the city attorney. It has to be a personnel, the personnel director. So it's so many things right now that is made it a little confused for all this.
Thank you, Councilor Levy. Let me just add this. I'm not sure, and this may be a good refresher for those who may have read this email from Personnel Director LaGreca on a Friday. On behalf of the city, I have 3 requests before the council. One of them is this one. These items were previously referred to the Ordinance Committee, which met on Tuesday, the 11th. For your review, and here's what she added, for your review, in an attempt to rectify some of the issues here, I've attached the following documents as they relate to each number: a proposed job description, a rating worksheet, and a non-union salary chart. Please note that I've considered the feedback from the Ordinance Committee and have regraded the senior advisor position to a grade 9. I've also taken into consideration the feedback of council in updating the experience and education requirements for this position. The city attorney is also working on draft ordinances for each position for your review. Once the draft ordinances are complete, I will pass those along as well. And that's the essence of her email. So she submitted some stuff, and there's more work going on with the ordinance. That's the takeaway that I just got from that memo. So having said that, knowing that we're getting proposed ordinances, it hasn't been drafted, at least as of today, or maybe as of Friday, but those are coming down the pike. The question is do we just want to give that to the Personnel Committee, have them do their work, finish their work, send it up, and then we can order a public hearing based on that? Or are we saying both back down to the committees? I'll need a motion. To be honest with you, it's whatever 5 people decide they want to do with this is fine with me. I don't want this to linger too much, because we like to move on this. But if we want to
Mr. President,
be tighter on this, we can. I see Councilor Rodriguez.
I'll make a motion to send the ordinance portion of it to the ordinance committee and the personnel portion of that item to be discussed by the personnel. So, as you mentioned, that the proposed ordinance, they are being worked out by somebody, the city solicitor, I believe. And once they get that, they're gonna have a lot more information to work with and review those ordinances and probably send it back with some type of document that we as a city council can review as a whole. These 3 positions are very important. And I'm pretty sure that the councilors that are not part of that committee, they also have questions. So in that way, we can have a healthy discussion once everything is ready.
There's a motion on the floor. What is in order to send this to the ordinance committee? Is there a second on this? Yeah, the council president
Second the
retains the right
motion.
to send it to the personnel department or any committee. It's been seconded to the ordinance committee. Motion's been made and it's been seconded. Any discussion? They're gonna go to both. They're definitely going to both. I'm just sending it down to personnel. They're definitely going to both. This is a motion to deal with the ordinance because that's where the controversy is. Do we want, that's where the controversy is. Motion's been properly made. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion on this matter? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. So the motion I have is to send this back to the ordinances. Okay. Counselor Levy,
Yes.
Counselor Dela Cruz,
Yes.
Counselor Payano,
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario,
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes,
Yes.
Counselor Infante,
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. This document is also going to the personnel committee. The next document is document 28921, National Grid to install a JO pole at 50.
Second?
This was sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation to order a public hearing. Is that right? There it is. Councilor Anna Levy, is that duly noted?
Yes,
Okay.
I already did the motion.
Okay, very good. Is there a second? Order a
Second the
public hearing.
motion.
This is the order of public hearing on document 28921, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Infante,
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes,
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario,
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Payano,
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz,
Yes.
Counselor Levy,
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Yes. The motion is to order a public hearing. All right, number 2 out of the 3 that we're dealing with, the ordinance changes. This is document 29021. The ordinance committee, this is a request for ordinance creating a position of safety manager in the Department of Public Works. The sheet shows that the committee and ordinance recommend by unanimous vote to send this up to the full council without a recommendation. That, Councilor Levy?
So move?
So moved. Is there a second?
Discussion.
I need a second. Seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. Discussion? Councilor Dela Cruz.
Thank you, Council President. This position was, this position increased, it's $75,000 and increased by $37,500. They double the amount of the pay for this position from $37,500 to $75,000. I think it's a lot of money for one position, and at the same time, it's a salary for two people, not for one. I understand that this person is going to be the director, but according to what I'm reading, this position double the amount of salary. And I think we should take in consideration that we are in a very poor community to double the amount that we're going to pay somebody, and instead of increasing the salary according to the job that that person is doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this is a committee report only. There's no favorable, and once again, like the other previous matter, this must go before the Personnel Committee. I will be sending this before Personnel as required by our charter. So now that, so we have a couple of choices here. We can treat this like we treated the other one and send it back down. We like this one, and we want to make a motion to leave it and table it here. We could do that. I think those are our only two
I'll
options.
make a motion to send it to the ordinance.
There is a motion to, let's make a motion to send this back. Okay. So what we could do is very simply accept the committee report, take a vote on this, and then Mr. Rodriguez's motion to send it back to the ordinance committee would be in order. At least we accepted the committee report and dispensed of that. If that's clear, committee report only, we're not passing it, and then I'm going to entertain the motion by Mr. Rodriguez. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counsel Levy.
Yes.
Counsel De La Cruz.
What is the question?
It's to just accept the committee report.
No recommendation.
What is the motion now?
The motion before us is to accept the committee report. After that's passed, I'm going to look to Mr. Rodriguez to send this back down to the ordinance committee. All this is to accept the committee report.
Yes.
Counsel Payano.
Yes.
Counsel Estela Reyes is absent. Counsel Rodriguez.
Yes, committee report.
Counsel Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counsel Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counsel Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Councilor Rodriguez, what's your motion?
Motion to send item 522 to the ordinance committee.
Motion to send to the ordinance committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Levy. Discussion.
Discussion.
Councilor Infante.
Clarification question. Are we treating this the same as the previous item?
It appears that we are.
Okay, so shouldn't the motion state we're sending it back to the ordinance and the personnel?
The previous one, just as a reminder, the council president's authority is to send things to a committee. The previous one was under discussion, under debate, so the only thing before us in the last vote was ordinance committee. This, like the other one, will be going to the personnel committee. Exact same thing.
Understood, thank you.
So the motion there's a motion on the floor to send it to the ordinance committee. It's been properly seconded, and now we have a roll call vote. Go ahead.
Counsel Infante.
Yes.
Counsel Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counsel Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counsel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counsel Estela Reyes is absent. Counsel Payano.
Yes.
Counsel Del Cruz.
Yes.
Counsel Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Motion is now going back down to the ordinance committee, and I'm sending this also down to the personnel committee. The third and final of these ordinance changes is document number 522. This is a request for an ordinance creating a position of Senior Advisor of Policy and External Affairs. This was sent up to the full council by unanimous vote without a recommendation, just as a committee report. Councilor Levy has made that motion, correct?
Yes.
Motion is made by Councilor Levy. Is there a second? Committee report only.
Second the motion.
Seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Committee report only. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counsel De La
Yes.
Council Piano.
Yes.
Council Piano.
Yes.
Yes, I heard him. Yep.
Council Rodriguez.
Yes.
Council Del Rosario.
Yes.
Council Selena Reyes. Council Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Is there a motion at this point? If you're following what we did before, is this looking to go back down to the ordinance committee?
Motion to send it to the ordinance committee. for
Motion to
review.
send down to the ordinance committee. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Counselor Dela Cruz. Discussion. Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Infante.
Yes.
Council Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Council Del Rosario.
Yes.
Council Estela Reyes is, I'm sorry, Council Rodriguez.
Yes.
Council Estela Reyes is absent. Council Piano.
Yes.
Council De La Cruz. Council Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes, this item is going to the ordinance committee and it is going to the personnel committee. Good. Now we're done with the ordinances. Thank you very much, Councilor Vice Chair Levy. The next one is the personnel committee reports. This is document 28221. The chair of the personnel committee, Mr. Payano.
Thank you, Council President. If you can give me just one moment. Thank you, Council President. So the Personnel Committee met, and on item 282-21, contract renewal to the City Attorney Ruano, there was a motion to send this to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
And I present that as a form of a motion.
Motion has been made by the chair, seconded by Councilor Levy. Discussion? What I would like to do at this point, this is for City Attorney Ruano. We don't really have our typical March time where we're doing it, but I think it would be useful just to hear maybe one or two items that she found to be successful in this past year. We're going to treat this like the annual thing that we typically do, which we wouldn't have a chance to do. And then maybe a couple of the challenges that she sees upcoming in this next, that she can foresee in the next year in her plan to attack, her office's plan to attack that. Thank you so much, Counselor.
Sure. Good evening. For the two new counselors, usually on my contract, every March, there is an ad hoc committee that meets and almost does an annual review of my work. Given that the contract is over this March, we thought that it might be best to use this time to almost kind of use it as an annual review, seeing as my contract is up for renewal. So some of the things I know that have occurred this past year leading up to March is we have two other attorneys in our office, and between the three of us, we have been kind of dabbling in a bunch of different departments. Since last March, at that time, we still didn't have a city clerk. We had an acting city clerk with Damaris, and I know that their office as well as our office really worked in conjunction to kind of make sure that everything ran smoothly. I think one aspect that I like to bring to the table is that I like to be proactive in other departments as opposed to reactive, because I think that it prevents a lot of problems and it brings down the level of work that our office has to do. And so when there is kind of a huge vacancy, such as the city clerk's office, our office definitely stepped in to kind of make sure that, any support that at that point acting clerk Damaris needed, we were able to provide, because I know that that office typically does the conflict of interest training every January, and we were especially nervous because there was an election season coming up and we didn't know if and when we would get a new city clerk. So that's one of the big projects that I know that we had taken on before city clerk Diane LeBlanc came on board. In addition, since that time, around September, we also lost our personnel director. He was our longtime personnel director who now is back in the city and is in a separate capacity, but there was a gap in time where I know our office, again, stepped in to make sure that that office could run as smoothly as possible, because honestly, if there's a lag in that office, it really, like I said, piles up the work and creates problems because they deal with low-level union grievances and also any terminations and any hirings, which could turn into litigation. So with that vacancy as well, our office stepped in to make sure that they were able to run smoothly. And I'm sure you know that our third assistant city attorney has resigned from that position, is now permanently the personnel director, because it's just such an easy transition from our office to that department, because so many of the issues are intertwined that we handle. I think in the upcoming year, there will be, as I stated, in one of the budget and finance, because we are requesting more money, is that we are looking to, fill some vacant positions in our office. We do have the vacant second city assistant attorney, which is the labor counsel, and I'm hoping that if we're able to get a labor counsel, we might be able to reduce the outside counsel fees that we use. The outside counsel, depending on which firm, they can charge us anywhere from $200 to $250 an hour. And obviously, to bring that in-house, I know there will be paying benefits, but I do think that overall the city will be able to save a significant amount of money if we are able to bring that work in. And I think the issue is between myself and the first assistant city attorney. At this point, we don't have the bandwidth to be able to take on any kind of union issues, and so we will need a full-time attorney. And we are actively marketing that. I know we're looking at where else we can post that position, because that position has been posted for some time now, and unfortunately, there hasn't been, when we posted it, I think we hit a lot of snags. So I think we hit, the 2-year COVID where everybody's budget was reduced, and I think a lot of people, the job market wasn't what it used to be, and so we haven't been able to fill that. And now we're also in the position where we are filling the third assistant city attorney position in our office. But I think if we were to be fully staffed, I think that is one of the challenges that I'm looking to kind of fill for the upcoming year, is to be able to make sure that our office can be fully staffed, because how I want to see the office run, and what we've sort of started to do, and I know actually we've talked a little bit with council president to even do it with city councilors, is we want to almost create like a training division, in the sense of we have new employees come in all the time. I know today I just did a training for the entire mayor's office for public records request and touch upon ethics and conflict of interest. But I think that if we have more knowledgeable and better trained employees, then I think, like I said, it will produce less issues further on down the line. So as I stated, I know with council president, we had maybe talked about doing a small training session with city councils, just anything that's come up, especially with open meeting law or any kind of ethics issues and public records law, and how it applies specifically to your body, because there are some issues that are very specific to city council that would never come up with the police department, say. And we are doing what we had wanted to do with the police department, is see if we could do training, especially when new constitutional law issues come out, whether it's the Supreme Court or the First Circuit or even our own Supreme Court, to be able to be proactive and go to roll call with them and do training. So that's on my wish list, that I think if we're fully staffed and we're able to take on projects like that, that I think would be really beneficial to the city, and I think in the long run it would prevent some litigation and would be able to save some money in that situation.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the council who wish to maybe ask a question before we take the vote to extend the contract? Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Council President, through you. Attorney Ruano, what is the budget for your department? The budget without any special allocation?
You mean as it's level funded at the beginning of the year? It is around just shy of $1 million. So I believe it's around 980, but that's also probably lower than it usually is, because I do believe that in COVID we were asked to do a 10% reduction in our budget. So it currently is below $1 million, but it's usually around 1.2 million.
What is the actual budget of your department, the budget that you use every year, meaning the labor fund plus any type of special allocation, perhaps the one that you have today in front of us?
It's probably closer to 1.5 million.
So it wouldn't be a good idea to have not just a level funded budget, but instead a real budget, as you have it for the last, I don't know, maybe more than 5 years.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Every year, we do have to come before City Council to request a supplemental appropriation, because every year around November or December, we do run out of money for outside counsel. And it is usually that litigation account, which I had stated earlier, that's the money, the account that we pay out for outside counsel that is depleted really early. We do sometimes get the benefit of, we do have other accounts that sometimes we don't tap into. As an example, when our budget is level funded, we get $225,000 in our litigation account, but we also get $225,000 in judgment. And I think we've been lucky that we haven't had any significant judgments levied against the city in quite some time. And so a lot of times at the end of the fiscal year, that line item, if it doesn't have 100%, it has a significant amount of money. We're able to just reshuffle that money amongst our other line items, and we wouldn't need it all from free cash. But when the litigation account is depleted so early in the season, we do ask for it from free cash, because we don't know if 2 months from now we are going to get some kind of a judgment that will need the judgment account to be used. But yes, we do not get the amount of money that we typically use in any fiscal year.
Is your department, thank you for the information, is your department required by charter to send a quarterly report, or every 6-month report, or an annual report to the City Council?
An annual report. So we typically send it in January. I do believe there's an ordinance provision for quarterly reports for department heads, and my department is not in that ordinance for some other reason. But in, I think, the ordinance for the city attorney's office, there is submit an annual report. And so typically by the end of January, that's, we start to aggregate everything that went through December 31st, and we send down to council documents showing, how many ordinances were written, how many properties are in tax title, how many open litigation there are. We kind of send, because it is public record, we do send almost like a general overview, and then we welcome if any specifics are wanted to be talked about, that we could always go into executive session, but we do send that once a year, usually in January.
Do you mind including the balance of each of those accounts and how many litigations we might have and pending, and also any type of litigation that perhaps we have win and lose, including any amount of money that perhaps we need to pay off in cases that we lost?
I could do that, of course. So you want more of a specific snapshot of what the past 12 months has brought?
I don't know if you're aware, but I mean, there was a motion perhaps that passed around 3-4 years ago that require every department to have a quarterly report. Is your department out there? I mean,
I think that's what I was saying. I have read that ordinance, and I don't believe our department is listed.
Do you mind taking a look at that, and probably we can readjust it, because it's important that every department is treated the same. And having you now in front of us, I think that will be a good goal for the next year, to have a quarterly report for those departments that we probably miss. And somehow have some type of accountability measurement for each department right down, because I mean, we don't have that. We just have a report that need to be sent. Some of it, like your department, some of the department were not included, but I think it's important to have some type of accountability measure and transparency within those reports, that way we can see and the public can see also how we're spending the money.
Of course.
Thank you so much. No more questions, Council President.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Thank you, Council President. Ms. Rano, we make a very good recommendation that you take your vacation weeks, because we noticed that you have a lot of work, and but we also need you. And then we want you to take your time. whenever you plan it, because we need to have you here for many, many, many days.
Yes.
And
I
thank
will.
you for
Thank
being
you.
here. Yep.
Well, I'm hoping too, if we are fully staffed, I think even if any of us is on vacation, our office should be available to any counselors at any time. So, with two of us, sometimes it's a little hard, but hopefully if we're able to have 4 attorneys, with or without vacations, our office is always available to you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none. This is a vote to approve a new 3-year contract extension for Councilor Ruano.
I'll make a
Clerk,
motion
please
to-
call, it's already, it's motion already on there, yeah? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Levy.
Yes?
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Congratulations, Counselor.
you.
Welcome back for another 3 years. We look forward to continued fine work from you and your office. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, counselors. Thank you.
Next on the Personnel Committee is document 1122. Chairman Payano.
Council President, the Personnel Committee met, and on item 1122, the appointment of Sarah Perez to the Lawrence Redevelopment Authority Board, voted to unanimously send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation. This appointment is a 5-year appointment, and once appointed, they'll be replacing, one second, let me try to, Elias Rodriguez. I believe that the Sarah Perez is at the chambers, so if councilors would like to ask any questions, Council President, I would invite her to come speak.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second. Discussion.
Seconded by Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez. We have Mr. Spanner who's here, and it would be right and fitting for him to introduce the candidate to us, and then we can certainly ask questions of the candidate afterwards. Mr. Spanner, welcome.
Good evening, Council President, Council members. We're happy tonight to introduce Sarah Perez as a nominee of Mayor Brian DePena. As I explained during the Personnel Committee, Mayor DePena is his agenda, political agenda, as well as his administration is focused on bringing more development and redevelopment to the city of Lawrence. It is very much needed. The reason for that is we still have blighted areas in the community, and therefore the Lawrence Redevelopment Authority is a very important instrument in furthering economic development. For that reason, we were seeking and made recommendations to the mayor to start focusing a little more on our residents that are business-minded individuals that own businesses within the city of Lawrence. It's very important because they bring the expertise, they bring the relationship that is necessary, and Ms. Sarah Perez Marquez brings those qualities to the table. She has been very active, as many of you are familiar, within the community. She owns a business, an insurance company within the city of Lawrence. She's also serves as the executive director of La Federación Hispana de Comerciantes, and as well has set and participated in different other nonprofit organizations or charitable activities within the community. So therefore, the mayor thought that Ms. Sarah would be an ideal candidate to fill in the vacant position on the board. So now I would like to introduce Ms. Sarah Perez to address the council.
Thank you, Mr. Spanner. Welcome, Ms. Perez.
Thank you.
Is it Perez or Marquez? We got two
Perez
different.
is my father's last name, Marquez is my mom, so I use them both.
What's the proper way to address you?
Sarah Perez.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Welcome.
That's enough. I thank you, all of you. Nice seeing you all. My name is Sarah Perez. I've been in the city of Lawrence for 32 years. My kids were born here, went to school here, and I've been part of the community for a long time. I've been part of different nonprofits and boards in the area, and I am happy, and I'll be happy to serve the city one more time, and I was thrilled when Brian asked me to do this for him and to do this for the city, and I said yes. Do you have any questions for me?
Did you have a question, Mr. Rodriguez?
Hi, Ms. Perez.
Hi.
Well, finally, I'm happy to see you serving that an official position that is dealing with the city directly. I know that you've been involved with many non-for-profit organizations, events, and up there in the community, which is important. I see you all the time, and I congratulate you for taking the next step of serving the city of Lawrence in this capacity. It is very important to have open-minded people like you are on those type of positions. Congratulations for taking that opportunity and taking it serious, as I know that you're going to do. I can see here that basically your background education is nursing. I have never seen somebody just leaving nursing to do something else, because it's a great career. But I appreciate that that you took the step to help in the community as a financial counselor. And a lot of people have a great feedback of the work that you do. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everything that you have done. Thank you for being in the city of Lawrence for 32 years and in the country for 32 years. That tells me that you came from another country, Dominican Republic, I believe, straight to Lawrence and having lived Lawrence. So, which is basically a great deal to me. Thank you for everything that you're going to do, and thank you for everything that you have done.
Thank you very much. It was not, I left nursing not by my choice. I got hurt, so I switched careers. But I still have my nursing license. So once you become a nurse, you'll be a nurse forever. I did it for 16 years. So, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members who wish to ask questions or say a comment? Councilor Dela Cruz?
Thank you, Council President. Sarah, thank you for serving this community so much. Not only you, I know your mom, she's always supporting the community in many different ways. Then we have to say thank you that you're going to take time of your busy time to serve the community that we love and to do the best. Thank you. I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, councilors. I just have one question to ask, Mr. President. And first of all, thank you so much for your willingness to serve our city. And this is a volunteer role. You don't get any extra money for this, no stipends. This is just you volunteering to help our city out. And for that, we're thankful. Later on this evening, we may begin the discussion about the Leahy School, at least getting it to a place where we're going to have more stringent discussions regarding that. With that comes the interesting dichotomy of creating of new spaces for schools. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we're also needing this movement to actually have more housing. Where do you find yourself on the question of housing, of creation of new housing in the city?
But the way I felt on new housing is I believe there's a need for housing, but I believe there's a lot of nonprofits are grabbing the market altogether, and I think it should be more, we should have more money coming into the city. That's how I feel about that. We should have more organizations, more companies coming in and investing in the city and bring more money to the city, because I don't want my taxes to go up.
No, I appreciate that. And I served on the Redevelopment Authority for several years, and actually one of my other colleagues, Council Vice President Stella Reyes, and I served for a little while on the LRA. And one of the questions that's going to be coming up is there going to be opportunities to create more housing or opportunities to create more business? And this is going to be a vision that you are going to now present, your vision, your independent board. And I'm just curious as to where your leanings are on that. And you might want to, maybe you don't want to say that tonight, and I guess if the mayor and you are qualified, and I'm planning on supporting and voting for you this evening, but it's a tough issue, and it's a tough issue to think about, and I hope that that you'll be open to all factors, all sides when those questions regarding one families or mills or whatever comes up, and that there is, there's pressure points. And hopefully you'll have a chance to consider those pressure points before you cast your vote for a project or this or that. So I look forward to speaking with you offline in the future, and hope that you this evening that the vote is favorable. Any other comments by members of the committee or the council? The council, before we call the question? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Congratulations.
Yes, a parliamentary question.
Congratulations. Welcome to the board.
You know what?
A parliamentary question I have.
Congratulations, and I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry.
I would like to ask a question on this item.
Parliamentary, you have the floor, Mr. Rodriguez.
So,
What's your question?
on item 1122, or maybe another item, there was another person that was supposed to be considered for the Lawrence Redevelopment Authority, which is, was Modesto Maldonado. What happened with that item? If we don't take action on that, it's gonna be automatically appointed.
So it's a very good question. Two things. One is that is currently in the Personnel Committee, and that stays there for now. Is the city attorney still with us, or did she leave? I don't blame her if she left. She left, okay. One of the fascinating things was I shared your opinion regarding the 30-day requirement, and I scoured the charter and the ordinances to find the basis for that. And then I asked the city attorney, where is that in there? And the boards have factors that are under 4.5, I think, under our chart. If we don't have an department head, those are what are automatically come in. It doesn't hold true for the city attorney on any boards or commission selections.
Can we get that on writing? Can we request that?
Sure. I mean, we can do that afterwards. I can ask her, I can pick a mental note to ask her to send something on there. I'd be happy to do that. Because I had the same question and I sent her an email on it. So I'd be happy to.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Council President, but wasn't that person deleted from the petition? Because it's not here today.
So
It's not on this agenda.
Yeah, just to remind counselors, the mayor submitted 2 individuals to be serving on the redevelopment authority. According to the mayor's office, one of them went through. The second individual, they're working on some other aspects of that. I'm not sure if they want to talk about that. It's not really pertinent right now, but right now that person did not get sent up to the full council. I don't think that under any shade of any bad coloring or anything. I just don't think it was sent up for other reasons.
Yeah, if I may, there's one vacant position that we were informed that the state is the appointing agency. So the state on the board, I think, is a 5-member board. One of them is appointed by the governor. So that's the reason why we held, and we have submitted a request to the Department of Housing and Community Development to appoint a person. If that person is not appointed within a specific time, then the mayor would nominate the other candidate or whoever he believes that he would like to bring to you again. It's whether we would withdraw the name or we would introduce another candidate. But for now, the state needs to appoint.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Is this name was under the same item, 1122, or it was under different item?
I believe it was a different item. Okay, next item. Thank you for the questions, everyone. Appreciate that. Withdrawals. There were 3 items. We'll go take them individually. These came out of the ordinance committee for withdrawals. The first one is document 28321, the Christmas decoration at Camp Unity Park. That was sent up to the full council, urging a withdrawal. Is there a motion to withdraw document 28321?
So move.
Another motion not to withdraw, or we can open the discussion on this item.
So so I need a motion. So I'm looking at the vice chair because it came out of her committee. There's a motion to withdraw. Did you want to make that motion, Madam Chair, Vice Chair?
I already said so move. Can we take it as a block? Those 3 items?
Here, taking as a block, is it easier for you to make it? I do suspect that the Councilor Rodriguez has, I'm not sure if he's got issues regarding all of them or one of them, so it may be advantageous to do them one at a time if he has issues on a specific one. So we should just deal with one at a time. So document 28321, is there a motion to withdraw?
So move.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes. Discussion, Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes. Well, every year we have the same situation. We have the mayor's office, or we have organizations that wanted to continue the decoration of different sites of the city. As I can see here, the decoration for the Campanion Park, it's very common, very typical, as well as the other 2 parks that are presented and the other 2 items. My questions to the other councilor will be, doesn't it make sense to send correspondence to the applicants to see if they're gonna seek a new application for this, for the same activity for next year? So that way we don't have to take that item again, have them put that item on the agenda. Instead, what we can do is approve the item once we got a confirmation from those organizations and the city and the mayor's office that they're gonna seek the same 10 for the year 2022. If they do that, we have the item in front of us. We can just discuss it, probably approve it at this time so they can have the permit. I think it will make sense. That's why I wasn't looking for withdrawal. Instead, what we can do is send correspondence to those 3 organizations to see if they're gonna do the same thing next year. And if they have any type of modification, and that way we ensure that they're not gonna be late, they have proper permits, and they continue with the process of making the city beautiful.
So the first one is from the city themselves, the recreation department, so it's not like in the third party. So it's the mayor. So just we're all clear on this. You want to keep it here because the mayor, you think is going to want to do this again next year?
I think that we should send correspondence to the mayor so they can respond within the next, within the next month. If they're going to seek the same thing for next year, if they do, we can take action now. If they don't, we can withdraw it.
Any other comments? Councilor Moreno.
Yeah, I'm recommending to send it to the Recreation Department. That way they don't have to come back to us.
So right now, we have a motion before us, and the motion is to withdraw. Councilor Anna Levy, do you have your hand up?
Yes, Council President?
Yes.
Okay, can we accept it as a committee report first, and then we can make a motion to keep it or table and send the correspondence to the mayor of the office?
You certainly can withdraw your motion to withdraw, since you made the motion. At this point, it's already on our agenda as a motion to withdraw. If you wish to make a motion at this point to maybe send correspondence to the mayor and Recreation Department, who's the sponsor of this, are we going to keep this in our table? I guess if the answer is yes, are we going to keep this in table matters for the next year, or 8 months, or 10 months?
The intention is to send correspondence to the mayor's office and the other two organizations. If they say yes, that they're gonna seek to do the same events, same activities, and decoration, we can either take action now, and they have the proper permit in place already, early enough.
So there's a lot, well, the question that would arise would be, do we as a normal course of business issue permits 10, 11, 12 months out? I don't know the answer to that. And do we do that? I don't know what the answer is, but maybe it's worth finding. Maybe, Counselor, and I don't know how this vote's going, so if this motion is withdrawn, that's one thing. If somebody makes another motion, it's something else, but we need to get some answers, and whoever has got the driving bug to do that should go ahead and get some answers, maybe report back to us and find out, can permits be out that long? Are these people looking to come back? Are they looking to do it next year? If we got two others, what happens if another group really wanted to take that park and do something, but somebody else got there first? I'm not sure, I don't know what the dynamics are, right? So, I don't know. So there's a few questions, and it's not a bad idea, I don't think, there's some questions.
I can get those answers. I can get those answers for you if you want to.
So perhaps, as I hate to table things, because we have a pretty long table, is there a motion we can send this back to the committee, and the committee continue to do their work? I don't know, or we can table it here.
I think that we can table it here until we get some information, and then we can move forward either by sending it back to the committee, approving it at this level, or withdrawing it at this level. We just need to get information as whether or not they're gonna seek to do the same thing next year, and then we can move forward.
My request would be this, and that's fine. How much time do you need? What we're trying to do is, our table matters are heavy. There's a boatload, and it's unwieldy. I hate to add, do you need 2 weeks, a second meeting in February? How much time is needed to get the answer so we can move one way or the other?
I think that for the next meeting, we should have an answer.
So is there a motion to table this matter until February 1st, and we'll take this up at the February 1st meeting? I believe that Councilor Levy, you withdrew your motion, is that correct? I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez is looking to make a motion to table this matter until the February 1st meeting, in which case we will take this matter up. And there's another matter we're taking up on February 1st. That's the motion. And has it been seconded?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Infante. Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
If I might ask,
Yes.
is there an expectation that the clerk's office is going to be sending correspondence?
Question.
I think that it will, to the mayor's office, it will be fine. I mean, for the other two organizations, I can get in touch with them because they probably doesn't have a formal address for you to send.
But who is crafting the communication?
I believe I was looking for someone to take the lead on that, and I think Mr. Rodriguez, you suggested that you were going to maybe take the lead on getting the information, so, okay, so there we go.
Usually the communications through other departments is done through the clerk. I said to the mayor's office, we should send communication as we have done many other time. This is not other difference than any other item. And for the other two organizations, since you probably doesn't have an address, an actual address for them, I'm gonna get in touch with them and probably get some documentation on the other two. For the mayor's office, I think that we should maintain what we have done for years.
So the request here is for the clerk to send a letter to the mayor's office asking that question.
And the question is simply whether or not the intention is to do the same event next year? Okay, all right. Councilor Infante?
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Payano?
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz?
Yes.
Councilor Animato?
Yes.
Yes. The motion to table passes until February 1st, and we will get a report, some sort of response, hopefully, from the clerk who's contacted the mayor's office. Very similar, document 28421, That's on a motion, there's on a withdrawal list. What I'm understanding is there a motion at this point to not necessarily withdraw? Well, first of all, the committee made a motion to withdraw. Councilor Levy, did you wish to make that motion, or did you wish to make another motion that's come out of your committee?
I have a question. What happens if this group do not want to do the Christmas decoration to the Stockton Park? So they want to choose another place.
So, I think that they're going to withdraw this item if there's no appetite from that group to do it next year. They may get a response, I'm not really sure. They may say, you know something, we got a meeting in August, we'll determine it then. I have no idea. There could be a lot of reasons, but seems to be some movement within the council to ask the question, so.
To withdraw, so move.
There's a motion to withdraw? Is that what you're making, Councilor Levy?
We can give it the opportunity. I'm going to withdraw the motion, and we're going to give it the opportunity to them to respond also in the next 30 days, so when we will have it at the council meeting.
So we're going to follow the same template as the first one, except for this time, if this is proposed by Councilor Rodriguez, he'll do the lead into both organizations. So document 28421. Councilor, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to table until we get more information.
Motion to table document 28421 until February 1st, and Councilor Rodriguez will report back his findings on that from that organization. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Councilor Dela Cruz. Discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Levy. Council Levy?
Yes.
Council Dela Cruz?
Yes.
Council Payano?
Yes.
Council Estela Reyes is absent. Council Rodriguez?
Yes.
Council Del Rosario?
Yes.
Council Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Council Infante?
Yes.
President McLean?
Yes. Document 284 is tabled. Document 285, this is very unorthodox and a little unwilling, we don't usually do this. There's a motion came from the Ordinance Committee to withdraw. Councilor Anna Levy, do you wish to make that motion, or do you wish to not make the motion and allow Councilor Rodriguez to make his motion? This came out of your Ordinance Committee, Councilor Levy. Do you wish to not withdraw this and allow the other motion to go forward?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Rodriguez?
I'll make the same motion to table.
Motion to table document 28521 until the February 1st meeting to allow Councilor Rodriguez to get further information regarding the decoration at Warehouse Square. Motion been made, and is there a second?
Second the motion.
By Councilor Dela Cruz. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call vote. Had a flashback.
Yes.
Council Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Council Del Rosario?
Yes.
Council Rodriguez?
Yes.
Council Estela Reyes is absent. Council Payano?
Yes.
Council De La Cruz?
Yes.
Council Levy?
Yes.
President LaPlante?
Yes. Motion to table carries. Are there any table matters that members wish to take off the table this evening? Councilors, while I've got your attention on this, we really need to be a little more systematic on our table matters. I don't know how many we have here. We have probably north of 20. What I would like to see if we can do is maybe take them 5 at a time, not tonight. 13314, which is mine, military veterans recognition. Number 7216, residency requirement. Number 12517, the speed limits in the city, and 22117. This, I think, went through. I think we passed that. 22117, we need to double check that. And 1118, creation of a city council standing committee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd like to see if we can, not today, but next week. So Counselor Dela Cruz, I've got a couple that I need to talk to, and Counselor Vasquez is not even here anymore. And then Counselor Rodriguez is here, so you can talk about the motor vehicle. If we can just make a decision next week on those first 5, do we keep them? Do we withdraw them? What are we doing with them? That would be helpful, but not tonight. So we can work on that. New business, 1322 Handicapped Parking at 32 Lawrence Street, going to the Ordinance Committee. 1422 50-minute parking, currently 2-hour parking. Suazo Market is going to the Ordinance Committee. 1522 Handicapped Parking at 35 Exchange Street, put on by Councilor Payano. That is going to the Ordinance Committee. 1622 Order to expend grant funds, Title III grants, $11,030 is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. 1722 Order to expend grant funds, earmark grant of $30,000 is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 1822 National Grid relocate 1 JO pole on Water Street is going to the Ordinance Committee. 1922 Verizon PVC conduit on Amesbury Street, that is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document number 2122 Order to expend grant funds at FY22 naloxone grant of up to $10,454.50. That is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 2222, Handicapped Parking, 53 Bradford Street, for Thomas Haskard, put on by Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez. That is going to the Ordinance Committee. Now, document 2422. Clerk, would you be willing to read that? This is put on by Leahy Elementary School, put on by Odanis M. Hernandez, the Chief Operating Officer. Clerk is going to read this into the record. The purpose of this, after she reads it, is to make a determination as to whether or not we are going to add this to the City Council agenda this evening. According to rule number 22, there needs to be 7 votes of the City Council for a late file petition, of which this is a late file petition. Clerk, please read that, and then we will look for a motion.
Ordered that the city
There you go. There you go.
All right. Item 2422, loan order Leahy Elementary School, submitted by Odanis M. Hernandez, Chief Operating Officer. Ordered that the city hereby appropriates $102,223,416 to pay cost of constructing a new Leahy Elementary School located at 100 Irving Avenue in Lawrence, Massachusetts, including the payment of all costs related to designing the project, demolishing existing building, equipping and furnishing the school, site improvements, and all other costs incidental and related thereto. The project, which school facility shall have an anticipated useful life as an educational facility for the instruction of school children of at least 50 years, and for which the city may be eligible for a grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the MSBA, said amount to be expended under the direction of the School Building Committee, that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow said amount pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7.1, or General Law, Chapter 70B, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the city. Therefore, that the city acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement discretionary program based on need as determined by the MSBA, and any project costs the city incurs in excess of any grant approved by and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the city, that any grant that the city may receive from the MSBA for the project shall not exceed the lesser of 1 80% of eligible approved project costs as determined by the MSBA, or 2, the total maximum grant amount determined by the MSBA, and that the amount of the borrowing authorized by this order shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in and received pursuant to the project funding agreement that may be executed between the city and the MSBA. Further ordered that any premium received by the city upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this order, less any such premium applied to the bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this order in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 20 of the General Laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such cost by a like amount. Further ordered that the treasurer is authorized to file an application with the appropriate officials of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, to qualify under General Law, Chapter 44A, any and all bonds of the city authorized to be borrowed pursuant to this loan order, and to provide such information and execute such documents as such officials of the Commonwealth may require in connection therewith.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this point, the chair is looking for a motion to allow this late file petition to be on the city council agenda. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilor Levy. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Councilor Dela Cruz. Discussion?
Mr. Ianello?
Mr. Ryanello is here.
Yeah.
This, again, is a question of process, right? Not a question of the merits or of this discussion, but just the process. Go ahead.
Mr. Ianello, how are you?
Good, thanks.
My question is, we are so happy that we're going to have a brand-new building, a brand-new school. Perfect. How much will this cost to the city, to the community of Lawrence?
This is a question, I'm sorry, that question is out of order. This is a question of process. The question of whether or not we're going to engage in the debate of the policies, the pros and the cons, the cost, the not cost, is not pertinent to this. This question is exclusively on whether or not we're going to add this to the council agenda this evening to then get referred to the Budget and Finance Committee for further discussion, such as that.
And let me go back. What is the engage of this loan and the community?
I didn't get the question. Repeat that, please.
Okay. According to this, this is a loan that the city of Lawrence gave to build the school.
That's the request. It's a loan order before you, yes.
My thinking is, what is the commitment the community have to have to be able to get into this loan?
So the question right now is regarding process. I think the first answer is getting this on the agenda so we can discuss the question in more detail.
So are you asking me the percentage of city funded versus state funding? Is that what you're? Yeah,
This is, I'm sorry, tonight, and I hate, tonight, this is only about putting this item on the agenda. The fantastic questions that are currently being asked need to be asked, and I encourage the questions to be asked. Tonight, however, is not the evening that we're having a discussion and or a debate about whether or not we need to have the school. The question before us right now is, are we going to allow this to be on the agenda so then it can be referred to, in this case, the Budget Committee? That's the question before us. The motion has been made. It's been seconded, so there you go.
Council President, sorry for putting me up. I need to know, because I'm going to make a vote tonight, and my vote have to let me know
Okay.
about the decision. I just need an answer. My question is, the commitment that the community will have. I need to know where the city stands with the law. Excellent information. Of course, that I want the whole school to be constructed. I'm an educator.
I'm going to ask the city clerk to read before us right now the reason why this has even come before us at this point, and perhaps that may help answer and provide greater peace to counselors. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. And if I might, matters come to the city council generally on the Thursday before by noon time. This was a holiday week, which made this a little bit unique, which then requires the matters to come in a day early. Whether there's a holiday or not a holiday, the assistant city clerk always sends out a citywide email letting people know when the matters are due. In this case, this came to us after the deadline. But what we learned is we have a gap. And that gap is that when we're sending the emails out citywide, they are not going to the school department. So that's something that we are going to correct going forward, but that sort of led to why perhaps they didn't make the deadline. When the deadline isn't met, Rule 22 kicks in, and I'm going to read the portion that's relevant. It says, all papers of whatever description which may require action by the city council shall be presented to the city clerk no later than 12 o'clock noon on Thursday, preceding the day of each regular meeting. Papers presented after that hour on such day will not be considered until the next meeting unless admission is approved by 7 members of the city council. If the preceding day is a holiday, all papers shall be presented at the same hour on the Wednesday preceding the day of the meeting. Again, I want to stress that the school department was not on our distribution reminding people that the deadline was Wednesday at noon. We received this on Thursday, which is why there is the need to make a motion for a late file communication.
So the motion before us is on Rule 22. Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you for
So the question is, who submitted this to the city council? The memo here is to Diane LeBlanc from Brian DePayne, Mayor of City of Lawrence, and Cynthia Parrish, Superintendent of Schools.
Okay, and it was sent
Right.
on January 13, 2022. Correct?
The date on this memo is January 13th.
No, Counselor, it came to the city clerk's office on Thursday, January 13th. So it was only one day late and in a few hours. And again, if there hadn't been a holiday, it would have only been a few hours late.
So this proposal is the same proposal that we have with the voters on the election day that they voted negative. Is that correct? So the numbers are the same. Correct?
I can't speak to that. I mean, as far as the item itself is I don't, the question is what's on the agenda at this point. That question would be in order. What is the question? Is it something similar? I think the council makes sense that the council should know if it's something that's similar to what we've dealt with in the past by the voters. does anybody, I'm looking at either the administration or the school department, can you speak to that item? I don't think it's germane to whether or not we support this on 7 vote, but that's a reasonable question to ask. What's on the agenda?
Thank you, Councilor President. Good evening, councilors. So the item before you is seeking to place this item on the agenda for funding of the Leahy School project. And the item that went before the voters was to, they were to vote on as to whether there was going to be a proposition 1.5, which would increase taxes on the residents.
No, this is a loan order. The item before the city council was a debt override vote, 2 different things. And this is a loan order before the council.
Any other questions?
But the project budget hasn't changed. Right, it's about 40 million city, 60 million is coming from the state.
Any other questions by members of the council? This is, again, to Rule 22. We need 7 votes to get it on the agenda. All this is right at this point. Any other questions? If not, we have a motion. It has been seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
What's your vote,
Counselor De La Cruz? Okay, I'll come back to you. Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes is absent. Counselor Rodriguez. Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
What's the vote, Chair?
The vote is 6-2. This matter is not accepted on the agenda.
The matter's not on the agenda this evening. At this point, the administration may have some other options. I would not be surprised if there is a special meeting ordered for this matter. Do not be surprised if that takes place. I would not be surprised if that was ordered tomorrow for some time, maybe as early as Monday of next week. So you might see that. We're going to go through committee's assignments at this point. Budget, and I'm going to go with you, Mr. Piano, since you got 2 of them. Let's start off with budget and finance.
Budget and finance, 7 p.m. this Wednesday, next Wednesday. Budget and Finance, 7 p.m. next Wednesday.
7 p.m. How about personnel?
This Monday, I can't see the faces of the folks in personnel, but does 6:30 work for folks? Or should we stick with 7?
No one's
6:30 work. 6:30 work.
6:30 work? Perfect.
Okay, Ordinance Committee. Counselor Levy, I'm going to presume it's going to be Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 25th at 7 p.m.
Housing. No business. Okay. Counselors, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and dedication this evening. Have a very good night. Have a successful round of meetings next week. And I'm now looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Counselor Rodriguez, seconded by Counselor Anna Levy. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Stella Reyes is absent. Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
President LaPlante.
Yes. Adjourned.